Season 48, War number 12, the last war of the season, and before I join the war, there is something I need to mention, and that is, this is not my original team. My original team was going to be Pyramid X, Claire, and Kate Bishop, and I was going to be taking Section 1, Path 5. However, I mentioned last war that my Kate was stuck on defense, and then in between Wars 11 and 12, I switched my Kate out for Gladiator on defense, but because of the fact that I was no longer allowed to access the Challenger map, which I had set her in earlier in the season, because we moved up to Tier 1, we started this season in Tier 2, when I actually had access to the Challenger map. Now I didn't have access to that map, so she was stuck in that map, and I couldn't use her for this war. So we had to do an emergency path switch with my officer, so I could get Red Guardian on my team and take Path 7 now, and then my officer had to use his Kate for that Path 5 Photon, and it was almost a complete disaster. Luckily I realized this before it was too late, and we were able to make the path switch, but otherwise, it would have been a very bad time, and I'd have to find a way to take that Photon without Kate. But we don't have to do that because I got to switch my paths. My officer soloed that Photon with his Kate, and it wasn't a big deal. So we're going to start on Path 7 against Mangog, and this is a really easy fight for Red Guardian just because simply he kills fast. That's literally the reason he's good for this, and he's buff immune, so no Mystic Dispersion or anything like that. I think I'm going to opt to go for a slow, which also makes this Mangog a non-issue if he somehow went into his Wrath mode, because he couldn't go unstoppable, and I could just block his unblockable special attack, or just unblockable hit, or yeah, unblockable special 2 with my shield if I wanted to. So, completely non-issue fight. He dies in 36 seconds, really good time. So, next up is Black Cat on node 16, and this is a pretty easy fight for Pyramid X. However, I'm going to be ignorant on one portion of the node, and I'm going to get to that later. Basically, the goal was to stack Tactic Prowess, and basically in my head I was like, okay, if I stack Tactic Prowess, she can't really cleanse. That's not how that works. And I knew that's not how that works, but for some reason I didn't think about it, and she can actually cleanse my debuffs because that's not how Purified Chance Reduction works. So she gets that damage reflect, and I'm like, wait, what the heck is going on? Cleanse and Purify work differently, and you saw me throw that SP2 with the damage reflect up. In the moment, I thought I was dead. I legit thought that I was going to die to that fight and screw up my perfect second half of the season. Luckily, I didn't, and it didn't kill me. That would have been one of the most upsetting deaths I've ever had, if I died there. Luckily, I didn't. So, next up we have Mojo on node 20, and this is a pretty easy fight, except my phone's gonna lag a lot in this fight, so I'm going to take some unnecessary hits. You can see it just lagging like that, and then, yeah, I ended up getting hit because of it, so that was scary. I missed a heavy counter there because I'm bad, but also, it's okay. We're gonna go for the SP2. We got a crit on the first hit, didn't crit on the second hit, but that's okay. Just block the special attacks. I'm being careful just in case my phone lags to block a lot of the stuff. And he's gonna go down on one more heavy attack, but almost scared me, so yeah, phone really messed me up there, but it's okay. Because we soloed the fight, and that was my last Red Guardian fight. So, next up, I have Pyramid X against node 29 Baron Zemo, and all I had to do for this fight is remember to activate my shock pre-fights, and I did, so I should be chillin' for this one. I want to build my Tactic Prowess early if I can help it, so that the rest of the fight is going to be easy. But this Zemo just does not want to back up too much, so I am going to be playing close to my corner a lot in this fight, which is unfortunate because I don't want to do that, obviously, especially when I have to dex a bunch of his special attacks, so we eventually get a bunch of prowess up, and now I need to bait specials, except he just doesn't want to. So now I'm getting closer and closer to the corner. I'm like, Zemo, just throw it, dude. I get a nice dex in the corner, but unfortunately I lose a lot of prowess because of that. If I'm just not in the corner, I don't have to worry about dexing the specials, but he doesn't feel like throwing his special ones, so I just keep getting pushed there. So I keep baiting it out. He's still not throwing it. Like, dude, this is getting ridiculous. So he gets to his SP2. I block most of it, but I dex the early hits. I know I did full dex the whole thing, but there's no reason to make an unnecessary risk like that. So I throw the SP2, and it kills him. So luckily, that fight, he dies before it became a massive issue. So not a big deal, but I was getting scared just because he was not playing aggressive at all. Or he was playing aggressive, just not in the way I wanted him to. Okay, so next up is CGR on node 37. This is going to be a Claire fight, and a pretty easy one, except I'm going to come really close to dying in this fight. And it was really bad. So, we are going to stay in the bleed curse, and the reason I did that was because if I magically got hit, I want to be able to regen and stuff. So in theory, a incinerate curse route would have been better because I could kill him faster. And you're gonna see me. I'm gonna start switching to incinerate curse. But I'm going to mess up and eat his SP1, because I want to block it to conserve my prowess, but I thought the buff immunity was active, but it wasn't, so, complete brain fart on my part. I don't know why, and then I get hit again, and I'm like, I'm so lucky that he only did 2 hits, because I could have died there. I missed a parry somehow. I don't know if it was an input issue, I don't know if I was late, but now I'm freaking out, because I'm at very low percent, and I need health. So I'm gonna switch back to my bleed curse after I tried switching to the Incin one, and now I just need to get some health back by throwing my SP2. Even though it's gonna take longer, I'm gonna get health back, and that's what I really want right now. So we got a good bit back from that. I'm running power back boosts, so we're getting closer to another SP2 as well. And once we trigger his bleed immunity, we're going to gain more power. We trigger MD, we're going to get more power. So we get back to 50%, so now I'm feeling a bit more safe. I'm dexing his specials because I have plenty of prowess, and he's going to die in just a second, and there we go. So, alright, one more fight of the season, and I am really, really freaking out here because it's not that I know this is a hard fight, because I don't really think it is, but this is the last fight of my season, and if I solo this, that means I had a perfect second half of the season, where my first half of the season I died 9 times. So this would be the biggest redemption season I've ever had, if I can manage to get this solo, because I didn't die through wars 6 through 12 if I can get this solo. So that's 7 Deathless wars in a row. That's by far the best Deathless streak I've ever had. And to completely die 9 times in the first 5 wars, and then solo the last 7 wars, is maybe the biggest comeback story I've ever seen for me personally. And it would just be a massive achievement if I can pull it off. And I know what I'm doing in this fight. I build my tactic prowess early, and then I just cycle with the poison phase to keep him power controlled. If you power steal at him, he cannot gain power for 12 seconds. So that's why we're sticking in this curse. And because I have tactic prowess early, I don't have to worry about getting it later. And I can also block his SP1s while he is buff immune, because he cannot go unblockable at that point. So I'm going to be parrying his SP1s sometimes if I know that I have the buff immunity active. And just look at this power control, dude. It's absurd. The 200% power backs and the poison curse are just letting me nearly completely cycle SP2s. It's completely ridiculous and so good. I'm going to block this SP1 because I know he's not going to go unblockable. And once the pod comes, I'm going to chill. And then throw my SP2 here. We power steal him even more. We just keep him locked in the cycle. I'm like, dude, I did it. At this point, I'm like, I know I did it. I did the last 7 wars of my season completely deathless after the disastrous start to my season. And that's it. I don't even know how to describe this season. It's the most roller coaster season I've ever had, just because of how bad it went at the start and how perfect it went at the end. And I'm extremely happy with the results. It wasn't my best season stats-wise just because of how bad my first 5 wars were. but at the same time, I just feel really good of how well I performed at the end. So, the war is not over. I'm recording this late so I can let my members see it early. Hi, members, by the way, if you see this. So, anyway, yeah, at the moment we're losing the war, but at the same time, we have already locked Platinum 1. If we lose, we can't lose Platinum 1. So it's not a terrible deal if we lose the war. We do want to win it because that pushes us farther away from Tier 2 at the start of the next season. But yeah, it's not looking great, but at the same time, we're not really losing rewards if we lose this war, so that feels good. So 8-3 right now. We'll either be 9-3 or 8-4 at the end of this one. We'll see. I'll put it in the pinned comments what happens, because I'm sure the war will end before I publish this video. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Absolute roller coaster of a season for me. I'm so glad that it finished the way it is. I actually enjoyed this tactic quite a bit once I got used to using it. I do think it was a good tactic. I know there's a lot of complaints out there, but I think all the changes that were made just constantly kept making it better, and it's a really good tactic in the state it's in. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.